There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
Welcome, everybody, to the Money Time Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Hernandez, and with me today, I have a friend, brother. Nonetheless, guys, he's just an inspiring human being who went from a normal job to diving into trucking and absolutely crushing it, inspired by the way he lives his life, not just the way he runs his business, but his family life. You guys with me today, we have the one and only Mr. Derick Pena.
Sir, good intro, dude. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Excited to be here.
So, you guys, today we may go on some random stories, right? So just bear with us. Derick and I have been friends for how long?
7, 8 years old. So
Long
time.
T-ball.
T-ball years.
No, baseball.
When you were balling out, baby.
When I was so good.
Should have kept with it.
They're brothers. They were really mean to me. Okay?
A little bit.
Because I was fat and I didn't know how to play baseball, and they wanted to win, rightfully so, being winners. Now I get it, right?
Yep.
You're like, dude,
competition,
Dad, why are
baby.
you putting this little fat kid out in the middle of the field? We ain't gonna get nowhere.
Yep, exactly.
Those good times.
Big Augie, yep.
Big Augie.
Yes, sir.
Introduce yourself, dude. Who are you? I mean, obviously I know you, but who are you? What do you do? Tell us a little bit about Derick Pena.
Yeah, so obviously I'm Derick Pena, 32 years old. I'm one of Adrian's close friends. That's why I'm here right now, talking a little bit about my business. But my main line of trucking business is in the trucking business. Sorry. So, I've been doing this since 2016 now, and I got into some real estate too. But right now, my trucking business is my primary line of business, and I'm contracted with FedEx Ground. So,
and you've taken your trucking business and used that to buy real estate, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll get into pretty much the details on how that transpired. But yeah, primary business is with FedEx Ground. I've been contracted them for 6 years now. It's been going good. There's ups and downs with that whole process with FedEx, but it's been good. And yeah, we got our feet wet with a little bit of real estate in 2018. Okay. So right now, I have 2 properties on my own, and then 3 partnered with my twin brother Alex and my dad.
I love it, dude. I love it. So obviously that didn't happen overnight. Mm-hmm. How did you get into the logistics? Talk about that. Like, where did you start? We grew up in Rancho Cucamonga, right?
Yeah, Fontana Rancho.
How did that happen?
So my dad was, for the longest time, he was employed with Kmart. So, warehouse worker. Right. And then he started getting into FedEx, I would think around like 2002, early 2000s. Got into that market and, started his business real small and, grew without the years. So I was always around that, the trucking industry, whether it be doing paperwork, washing his trucks, going to the mechanics with them. It's always been around growing up.
Been in the environment.
Yeah, but after, during high school, I knew like I wanted to get into, to be a firefighter.
Right.
So, I wanted to go that path, and, I went to, community college at Crafton, did all the courses there, EMT, right. Fire Academy, all that deal.
You finished your Fire Academy, yeah?
Yeah, at Crafton.
Yeah,
so.
And you did your EMT where?
Same, Crafton Hills, yep. So, once that was all done, I got that knocked out pretty quick, by like 18 years old, I was already pretty much done with all my courses, so I hit the just pretty much all the jobs as the EMT, and we worked together.
Yep. That was at the transportation company.
Yeah, man.
Who's that? Jose.
Jose, yeah. Non-emergency medical transport. We were doing all like BLS stuff, taking people to convalescent homes.
He's doing good now, dude.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a minute, but yeah. I know he got into logistics too, into transportation. Yeah. I'm not sure what he's doing now though.
So it was cool, guys. I thought it would be cool to be a firefighter myself, right? And it didn't work. I didn't even get past EMT. I didn't even remember I was an EMT for like 3 fucking years. I just
in the courses, in the fucking training courses.
Yeah, in
the programs
at Mount Sac. Yeah. Right. It just wasn't working, right? But it was cool because so in the process of me trying, I get hired at a transportation company, and Derick actually is the one who got me hired to the transportation company. Derick was working there, and it was super cool. So we were traveling. We were taking psych patients, right?
That was one of the things.
Patients and non-emergency transport.
You were the driver and I was in the back.
I was the driver.
Yeah.
And if anybody's ever drove in with me.
Yeah, not a good, not a safe driver. Yeah, we did it. We did that. So that was like my first like real job as an EMT, and then
We won an award though, dude. We won the fastest
for
route,
transport
right?
time.
It
of you,
may not have been the safest, but we fucking won, right?
Yep. Remember that shit.
All right, so you go to transportation company.
Yeah. Transportation, then start working on ambulances, doing that, and then did a little bit of phlebotomy work with live stream, blood bank.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then I finally landed a pretty solid job with Kaiser as an ER tech. So I ended up being there for, I think, a total of 5 years. So I did that, and then this whole process was, with firefighting, there's different routes you can go. You can go to the EMS side, or you can go to the actual firefighting and go into wildland. But
EMS
it was
emergency.
Yeah, emergency medical service. So I went that route, and it was cool. It was fun. The experience was great, but I was still trying to apply for fire departments, and I would get lucky here and there. Was on the hiring list for LA County or LA City, sorry, and yeah, something happened. It didn't go through, but it was kind of it was a process, real competitive. I'm sure it's competitive still now, and in the meantime, I would say like 3 years in, I was probably like 20. I was 21 when I got hired with Kaiser. I would say like 23, 24, I got my Class A. So I would drive with my brother, with my dad's companies. They both have separate companies. So I would be driving with them just like part-time and, learning the ops side of the business, operation side. Like I already knew a little bit about the admin, but just a little bit,
right.
This
is the logistics.
Yeah, this is for the transport side now. So got my Class A, started doing that. It was different. Like being in the emergency department, it's a little stressful. You're dealing with a lot of different personalities with nurses, techs, doctors. So a lot going on. Great experience, but after a while, like as a tech in the ER, you're at the bottom.
Right.
You're like the grunt. So everyone's just telling you, what to do, and it gets a little stressful and burnt out after a while. So. That's when I started, picking up more, like not picking up shifts with the ER and start driving more.
But you're making pretty good money. At
yeah,
Kaiser,
I was doing really well at the time, you know. But it's a stepping stone. Like as a tech, I mean, obviously, if you want to stay with, in the medical field, like, are you going to be an RN? Are you going to be a PA? Are you going to be a doctor? So it's like, to me, it was always like a stepping stone while I was trying to get into the fire department.
Right.
And am I going to go to the nursing program? Am I going to do that? So those were always like options, but I think after a while, I just kind of I got burnt out. Like I lost interest in it, I started falling more in love with like the trucking side, a lot more, I thought easier at the time, less stressful, driving a truck.
Right.
And then, that's kind of where I started with like transportation,
Yeah.
So it wasn't, I would say I was like 3 years in, 5 years in with Kaiser and 3 years of like driving, where I kind of like made a decision. I had a kid on the way. I had a good chunk of money, saved up. My wife Desiree at the time, we were, together living in Bloomington. We were just, saving up money.
Yep.
So I think when the opportunity presented itself is, when I was able to purchase some routes. So I ended up making that decision like right after little Demi was born, my first kid. So made that decision and kind of never really looked back. Like I wasn't really dabbling back into like the medical field. So dropped that, purchased the routes with the 2 trucks, and just kind of took off from there. Didn't look back.
That's awesome. What's that process like though? Because I know people may be listening. Mm-hmm. They're nurses or RNs or they may be a tech, right? Mm-hmm. And they've always wanted to make a jump into another business, right? Rather that be whatever the case may be. But we know that you're making decent money, enough to pay the bills, right? But there's always that scarcity to go to the next thing.
Right.
How did you connect that? What was it for you that helped you made that jump?
It is. You're right. That jump is scary, especially if you have like a good job with benefits and you can grow within the company, have an early retirement. Right. And man, when I was thinking about it, just talking to like my close, coworkers at Kaiser, the nurse, the doctors, like, hey, what are you doing? You wanna drive a truck for a living? It's like you want to get into the trucking business. But luckily, for me, my twin brother, he was in the game before.
Right.
So it's always kind of like who you know and who's been through it. So with him, like I knew, he was doing well for himself and he had the experience. So, luckily for me, I can take advantage of that.
Right.
So he ain't going to teach me everything, but of course, if I ask, he's going to help me out.
For sure.
So, I'm grateful for, and that's not even with him, with any other contractors within FedEx that I've known for a long time.
Right.
So I knew the business enough where it wasn't like pretty much like I'm diving off the deep end with nothing. I knew there was people that I can reach out to and learn from,
Right.
So it made it a little easier for me, but with that being said, it's still like, man, jumping into any type of business, like you learn the hard way. Like it's not like, so you see someone else is doing it and they might make it seem easy for them, but once you're actually in the trenches and learning like, oh damn, I didn't know, this was an aspect of this business, of this part of the business. I didn't know A, B, or C, or D, and you're learning along the way. So like that was tough. So yeah, man, that's kind of how like I made that transition. It's big. It's a tough decision to make, but
What I heard you say is you saw a platform that worked, right? It was successful, and so because of that, you were able to see that it worked, which made it easier for you to jump in. Right.
Right.
I think for a lot of people, they want to go do something, but they don't see someone actually doing it. Right. And that's why I always tell everybody, go shadow somebody.
Right.
Like go shadow. Like I've had somebody go, oh, dude, I'm curious to know what Derick does. Hit him up. Go spend the day with them. Go see what he does. See if it's something you even want to do.
No, exactly.
Right? Or real estate. Go spend a day with an agent. Go see if that's something you really want to do.
Yep.
Right. And then you may actually see like, oh shit, this actually works. This could be a possibility, and it sounds like that's what makes the jump easier.
Yeah, you have to do your due diligence. So
It's huge.
Man, I can't even like tell you how many times like where you're thinking how many times I like thought of any projects even now, but back then it's like, man, okay, I got to do my homework if this is going to, make sense for me. Am I going to be, spending, less time from the family of this? Is it going to make money in the long run? What happens if this doesn't work?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely if you have a good, job, a steady, source of income that, you can kind of get comfortable with that too, though. So it can kind of go, both ways with that. So, it might be, super, risky for you to go out and venture off into something else. But, if you're thinking about it, at least do your due diligence and do it part-time like I was doing it.
Solid advice.
You have your full-time job, pick up a day, 2 days here, and then, hey, this is something that I might be interested in. And then, don't pick up a shift, not maybe go part-time at your other job. And now, you're splitting up your time. So
Did you ever go part-time as?
Yeah, I was part-time for like the past like 2 years with Kaiser.
Really?
So yeah.
Is that when you were on call?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like on call, part-time session on call.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I did for towards the tail end. And then once I like made that decision, like, man, and I was burnt out, like straight up with the medical field. I was done with it.
Yeah,
so
I remember. That was cool. All right, so jump into trucking, get your first route. What is a route? How do you get a route? What does that mean?
Yeah, so with FedEx, FedEx is a huge corporation. So they started off with Express. Okay, so you got FedEx Express, you have Ground, and you have FedEx Freight, and then Custom Critical. Okay, so there's 4 different branches, and Ground is the I think Custom Critical too, but Ground is it's all contractors.
Okay.
So FedEx Ground's all contractors. So there's 2 different types of contractors. There's a line haul contract and an ISP. So TSP, ISP. So the van contractors are the ones that are going to your house, dropping off packages, going to the malls. You see them.
And that's
That's an ISP. That's an ISP contract. And then myself, I'm on the line haul side where it's tractor trailer. So within that network, there's people that are actually going like cross country, and then what I do is all local work, all drop and hook.
Okay.
So
City to city, local.
yeah, local. So right now, like my contract's out of Rialto, but I was operating in I've operated in Oceanside and Chino, Rialto. So that's where my my service areas, so to speak. So I have accounts that we take empties, drop them off, pick up the loaded trailers, and come back. So all drop and hook. So right now, so I've been in business for 6 years now. So I started off with 2 trucks. I grew up to 21 during like the height, during like the tail end of COVID.
Right.
And then after that, currently I'm at 18 trucks, and we employ anywhere from like 20 to 25 drivers, just depending on the time of the year.
That's strong. Dude, it's only been 6 years?
Yeah. Yeah, not too... feel like it's been longer.
It's feel like it's been at least 10, 11 years, at least.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, only 6 years.
So what does that look like? So year one, I mean, obviously you don't get to that overnight, right? So what did year one look like? How many trucks did you have? What were you bringing in like annually revenue? And then how did that grow?
So I'm trying to think back. So like when I was operating 2 trucks, I think I was... So with trucking, there's owner operators. So with owner operators, there's a lot of companies that hire owner ops.
Okay.
So what that pretty much means, to like dumb it down, is these owner ops, they own the truck and they're driving their truck. They're owner operators. Okay, so one truck, one driver, they're doing their thing.
They own the company, they run the company, and
they're doing everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So
a real estate agent.
Yeah, for FedEx, like there's contractors that run as owner ops, where it's at the time when I first started, and I think how everyone is.
Right.
They start with they have to start with a minimum of 2 trucks. 2 trucks, and they can still probably get away with driving with 7 to 9 tractors, but when you start hiring more drivers, handling more accounts, more staff, it's kind of hard to be in a truck still driving.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that still do that, So with myself, that's how I was for probably like the first 2 to 3 years of my business. Probably like 2 to 3 years, give or take. But, started with 2 trucks. I was driving the truck full time, getting to know my customers, the FedEx staff, building relationships within, the FedEx network. And yeah, so I just started, purchasing more trucks as spares, and, picking up extra work from other contractors, any line haul work, anything that popped up. That was just pretty much being like a bottom feeder.
Love it.
So that's kind of how I started to grow quickly. And I would say like in 2019, that's when I started like really, catching momentum. So I started, delegating certain tasks to, I used to be like they're called BCs, but it's like in essence like an operation manager, like dealing with all the accounts, and that's kind of dealing with with FedEx's staff. So that was like always like a big thing for me. Like I wanted that for myself,
Right.
Like I wanted to be in control for any mistakes. I wanted to be on me.
Right.
So it took a while for me to find, that person to take the reins, so to speak, so I can kind of grow with other stuff.
Right.
And, luckily I've had a driver that's been with my company since I started, which is Lewis, and he's killed it for me. So, Lewis took over, all the BC ops, and he's like done a better job than me. And like, we talk about business all the time. It's like, when do you know when to delegate, a certain task,
right, so
it can, open you up your time to other, ventures, either whether it be in trucking or somewhere else,
Absolutely.
But it's hard. It's hard to know like when to make that decision.
For sure.
Yeah, so I got him involved with that, and, I started growing pretty quick, and COVID came around, and that was a challenging time, and people didn't know what to do, like with the transportation business, where what was going to happen. And I think that was like every industry, man. Like they were scared, like back in March, April, businesses were shutting down. So, luckily at that time I had a lot of, spare trucks and drivers ready to go. So, when it got busy, everything started shutting down. Transportation and logistics just went, crazy.
Right.
Everyone's ordering stuff from home. All the department stores were closed down. So that was our busy time. So that's where we pretty much got, blew up to 21 trucks. And,
wow.
See how it goes now, though, with heading into the time that we're going into. But
Right.
we'll see.
That's awesome, dude. So when you go back and you take a look at you're running operations by yourself, right? You're driving, you're in the truck. It's in every business, right? Because if you look at in real estate, it's the same thing. You become an agent and you're the one doing everything. And then eventually you got to get to the point where you hire somebody to help you doing the thing so you can move on to that next level. But there is a mindset shift from being a owner operator to you hiring somebody to run your day-to-day operations. Sometimes that's hard, right? I know for me, like I always wanted to control everything.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it for you? How were you able to, it's easy to be an owner operator, but it's one thing to be a business owner. That's that lateral, right? When you hire someone. What mindset, like how did you make that transition from being in the truck to running the day-to-day to saying, all right, I need somebody to actually run this for me or help me run this?
What it was for me is like I was obviously there's different like aspects of any business, but like for trucking there's a lot of safety, compliance, a lot of admin side that I wasn't like completely aware of my first like 1 or 2 years of business, where it was just like 2 to 4 to 5 trucks. I would just get in a truck, make money, but then like I would miss out on other stuff where there would be like labor laws that I didn't know, like I had to do A, B, and C.
Because you were in the truck.
Because I was in the truck all the time.
The
and then
details.
something will pop up. I'm like, fuck, I didn't do that,
Right.
Or some other contract, like, hey, did you do this? And I'm like, I didn't know we were supposed to do that. So I think that's where, I had that like perfect balancing point where I was starting to grow and I needed to know. I started hiring a lot more employees. So I knew I needed to adjust my time or hire someone to do that side of the business. But I wanted to learn everything. I already knew everything about my operations.
Right.
I already built, relationship with customers, with the FedEx staff, management. I did all that. But now I need to make sure I got all my T's crossed on the other side.
The details.
So yeah, so that's what made it, an easier transition. And it's been better because like as an ops, your phone's like op manager, your phone's always ringing.
I remember.
Like, all the time. Like you're constantly putting out fires. On this side, 20 to 25 employees, you're learning everything, so everything on that side of the business with, your payroll, man, just all the like compliance with, all the insurances that you have to have, DOT compliance, your truck maintenance, everything. So that's when I started really like fine tuning my business and making sure I have spreadsheets or, training programs for all that side, it can benefit me. So my company's less of a risk, you know?
Yeah.
So
it relates, and what you're saying relates in so many other businesses. It's just different format, but it's the same foundation, right? And you have to not only get to a place where you're able to make that jump, but I think all of us need to understand that in order to scale, you have to do that, right? And if you're stuck in operations and you're stuck in the truck and you're stuck running, you can never scale. Not only can you figure out the details that you need to scale, the details that you need to keep yourself in compliance, but it never allows you to get to that next point. And I see this in industry after industry after industry where they want to be the only one that's doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they wonder why they run around in circles.
Yep.
So it's interesting. So what does a truck bring in on? So you have a truck, it runs a route. What does that bring in, like on revenue? Break that down for us.
It just depends on each route. Like some routes are going to make more than others. On my side of my business specifically, like I can't speak on other, long haul trucks or the vans, but I'd say give or take, my trucks are averaging like on a good end, 1,000 to 1,500 a week, and that's just after fuel and payroll.
Okay.
So
No
maintenance, no insurances, no, safety vendors that we have with, the cameras in the trucks, none of that.
Right.
So, I could really break down the numbers, but really I would say guess like, I don't know, like 7 to $900 a week on each
So
truck.
call it $1,000 a truck.
Yeah.
Right, and then so that's a week per route. How does that work?
Yeah, per truck.
Per truck.
Yeah, just per truck.
Okay, so per truck per week.
Yep.
Right, so you get on average a truck is bringing in about $4,000 a month.
Correct.
Right.
Yep, and that's after all payroll. So like the biggest expenses for, my line of work with trucking is going to be fuel.
And we all know that.
Yeah, like fuel's been
What was last year? That had to have been insane. What was your fuel cost last year?
So we audited numbers in June of 2022. I think like with this whole gas price surge that just went up. So compared from the first 6 months of 22 to 21, my company spent an extra $90,000 in fuel.
$100,000 in just fuel.
Yeah, and for the first 6 months.
Do you guys get a discount? I've always wanted to ask. Do you guys get a discount at FedEx with the trucks?
Yeah, they have like they have a certain discounts, but a lot of typically it's like 75 cents to $1 what you're seeing on out here.
Okay.
But the customer like FedEx will do our contracts are year to year. So they'll do, adjustments to, fuel rates, but once it's set, it's set. There's no adjusting that. And it's kind of there's a lot of little drama going on with FedEx right now, mostly like on the ISP side. But yeah, you guys can, look up online and read all that stuff. But yeah, there's a couple things going on with that and one of them is being with fuel.
So we've never talked about this. What is your thought on, you get the Tesla trucks, right? You have the electric trucks, and then you talk about autopilot. And there's a lot of talks on eventually trucking being 100% autopilot, and it being us not needing human beings anymore. What's your thought? What's your thought and what's your take on that?
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I think it's coming. It's just when it's gonna come. So like I'm not opposed to that. Like something that I'm not an old school, truck driver that loves all the old big Peterbilts and all that stuff. Like I love trucking, like in and out, but I'm all about what makes sense and what's gonna make money.
For sure.
If it's gonna, cause me to have electric trucks, let's do it. But with that being said, like, man, like you don't understand like how big the trucking industry is, like.
And I don't think anybody
does.
Like
the infrastructure with all the gas stations. Like if you drive from here, I don't know if you've driven like back east all the way over here, but when you pass these big truck stops, like there is like a lot of pumps at the truck stops, and they're always packed.
Always.
And like to fill up a rig, you're in and out. I don't know, 15 minutes tops. So I think it's coming, but man, the infrastructure with the whole like electrical charging, like I think we're a ways out.
Yeah.
Like I think it's gonna hit the local stuff first. Like big cities, inner cities, it's gonna hit it there because these if they put like their charging networks in there. I know that there's some trucks that like the Tesla truck that came out. I know Freightliner and Volvo have one, but I think Volvo, I was talking to one of the drivers. It's like a 150-mile radius on a full charge right now.
Not very far.
It's not. But for local driving, that's what my trucks are doing, like 150 to 200.
Oh, a day?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But we do a lot of stop and go city driving.
Right.
So like I can work in a truck 11 hours and do 200 miles where, the traditional line haul guy can hop in 11 hours and do 600 miles, but it doesn't make sense for him to stop 200 to 300 miles. Like it's not.
Right.
So I think
interesting.
I think it's coming, but I don't know like when it's gonna happen. Like I think a lot has to take place to get it done. But fuck, I may be wrong. It might happen in 5-10 years from now. But
no, you're right. They need that. It's interesting you say that. I thought they would go more. What do you call it? Like
long haul driving.
But you're right. I did think about the chargers. How are they going to put random chargers in the middle of these different locations? I mean, that's going to take a long time for infrastructure. No, I think you're right. I think we're a little premature on. Yeah, it's going to come for sure, right?
And it's going to suck too, because like, how long is that charge going to be for those line haul? If they do it that way, like, how long is it going to take for them to charge their vehicle?
Yeah,
because before it was taking 15 minutes and they're on the road. But now if it's taking 2 hours, that's affecting their drive time. Product's going to be late.
You had a Tesla. How long did it take you to charge?
Fuck, dude. I got rid of it after a year. I wish I would have kept it now, but I didn't like the whole waiting aspect of it.
45 minutes?
Yeah, I think for like a 80% charge, like 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Yeah,
but, you know, like with my business, like I'm always on the go.
Yeah, time is money.
So like sometimes when I was driving it, you know, out in Oceanside and, you know, I got off work and I couldn't make it to my hotel where it's like, damn, I got to charge, sit here for 30, 40 minutes. But and there's pros and cons with everything, right? So,
for sure.
But yeah, maybe in the future, if they have a longer range, I'd be down for that for sure.
Yeah. I canceled that other one, that Roadster.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Fuck, well, you got a lot of cars now, dude.
They're telling me 2.5 years till that shit comes out.
Really?
They even start production. If anybody works at Tesla and you have any information on this, comment, let me know. Or is it coming out sooner, later? I need to know. They told me no.
That's a bad car, though. When it comes out, it'd be nice.
Anyways.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Do you think it's going to... So let's talk about companies like FedEx. Do you think when we eventually go electric, are there going to be a need for private contractors?
With electric, yeah. Anonymous drivers, like what you're talking about with like autopilot, maybe. Like I wouldn't see it. So FedEx, like I said, going back, FedEx Ground, it's all contractors. Okay. Express, all those other companies, they're all company owned. Okay, so there's always been talks of like, man, is it possibility of, you know, Ground not, you know, contracting anymore? It is. Like, it's not off the table. Like, they can bring in their own, you know, their own drivers, own equipment. It's a chance. Will that happen maybe like when there's electric trucks, autonomous driving? Maybe. It can happen. But like FedEx Ground, there's like, contracting with them, there's pros and cons with that. You know, like one of the biggest pros, like in my side of my business with trucking, I don't have a sales team. Okay, I don't have to go find accounts or anything like that. FedEx has their own staff within their ground network that, you know, they make the contracts, relationships with the customers, and then it goes into rotation or a bidding process, and that's how the contractors get them.
Oh wow!
So. Yeah, so with that's obviously one of the biggest pros. Like one of the cons that it could be a con, but FedEx requires us to have a lot of go by a lot of their policies. You know, we have to have a certain equipment, safety equipment on our tractors. You know, certain insurances, certain safety vendors that are approved through them.
Which is always changing, yeah.
It's always changing. Every you know year something's changing, and I'm for it. Like if it's for like safety, you know, I'm all about it. Like if it's gonna put my company less of a risk from getting, you know, sued from any accidents, I'm 100% for it.
Right.
You know, but you know, a lot of contractors, they don't really, you know, care for that because they kind of micromanage what you do with your own business. You know, so kind of gets a little like tricky there. But overall, I think it's a good relationship. You know, now. Going back to what your question was with, like, do you see FedEx, you know, getting rid of this whole electrical or anonymous stuff? I think if Ground decides to, you know, continue with the whole contractor model, it might be in a requirement for, you know, to have a certain level, a certain amount of, you know, electrical trucks, electric trucks, you know, like, hey, 50% of your fleet needs to be, electric. You know, compliance within this year or this year. And that's kind of how they did it in the past. So, yeah, I could kind of see that for sure happening, you know?
Right.
But I don't know when it's going to happen. I think it's coming, but we'll see.
The future of logistics is...
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a big animal, man.
Well, then they talk about the drones, right? There's no need for vans because they're going to bring in the drones, right? You hear all this crazy stuff. There's a book called "The Future's Faster Than You Think," and it talks about the drone. It talks about trucking. Actually, you got to listen to it. There's 2 chapters on trucking, on logistics, and how that's going to change, or how they think it's going to change in the future. But I'm wondering, what does UPS do very similar what FedEx does with private contractors?
No, UPS doesn't. They're all internal, and that's why like it's a union. So like for what's crazy, and we'll go into like this whole COVID thing with transportation, but like the way UPS is ran is like kind of like how Express is. You know, it's company owned. UPS is union. So like,
I didn't know that.
there's a lot of like, I'm sure I won't name their names, but there's like people that grew up in the UPS, company,
Right.
and they started off as package handlers, and then they just climbed up the ranks to get to a Class A driver. Like you have to go
that's
through
how it
those ranks.
works.
Like UPS wasn't, you can't just apply for a Class A position and just get it off the street, so to speak, So, that's how it was. But like during COVID, there was like one of the biggest challenges we had as in the trucking industry is everything in essence blew up. But the negative aspects of this blow up was that everyone was in need of trucks, right? So obviously more business, you need more trucks. The trucks that were costing, 50, 60 grand, they were almost like doubling.
Shit.
Like that just happened overnight. So like it sucked if you weren't at the right place, right time, you were spending a lot more on equipment, right? Obviously more volumes getting produced. So now you need to do more hiring. So the driver pool just went like extinct, and it became an effect where all these companies were trying to one up everyone. So now the driver's pay is getting way higher, and the volume's still there. So we're still making some money, but it's not.
Your profit margins are down. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cutting into it.
What did that go to? From like 20 to 30?
I would say like 23 to like 28, 29.
Which hourly, that's a lot.
Yeah. But then the biggest thing too is like I never offered like my company for the longest time no benefits. And that was like something where I had to change within my business structure. Like, all right, now my company, I need to start having it a little bit more appealing. So now we're offering benefits now.
That makes sense.
So obviously that's another expense, but at the end of the day, it's
More retention.
for my company and my drivers. So, you had that aspect going on. Maintenance on trucks, like parts, like they were just flying off the shelf. You couldn't get parts. These mechanics were charging a lot. So there was a lot of going on with trucking and during this whole COVID period, and it lasted a while, man. Like
Is it still going on?
No, it died now.
It died now.
Yeah, this last peak season wasn't crazy at all. Like I think it started dying probably, if I were to say, like March, June of 22. But man, it was like peak season for a good year and a half. Like just headache after headache. But it was a crazy time for sure. And same thing, I think like thinking back with the transportation business, I think it really compared to the real estate market.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
A lot of similarities. Like, yeah, you guys had some challenges, you had to adjust to the way you guys, showed your home or whatever, but
Right.
At the end, like our market was up here, like compared to like the restaurant business or, shopping centers where they were closed down stores. So like we were kind of in the same position, and now it's kind of we're dying down, but it's leveling out kind of where we were before we were in this place,
Right. Yeah,
So it's just like an adjustment.
For sure.
But I know a lot of, and even with my own business, like I don't need 21 trucks anymore.
Right.
We're not that busy anymore. I don't need, this many drivers. So now you kind of have to foresee of what's going on and make adjustments. And I'm sure you're doing the same thing with your business as well,
So good.
kind of adjust to the market, because we ain't going to be making the same money that we were in the past.
No. No, not at all. That's going to change. And dude, you made a face right now. It looked just like Damon.
He's coming right now.
There's a little Damon in there. Derick got a little baby boy. He just turned a year, yeah?
Yeah, on Monday.
Yeah. Damon.
Yeah,
and
little
then
Damon.
Then I had a little baby boy, Caden. He's right behind him. So we're going to be running the streets again 2.0.
Yep. those are the projects right there. the next in line. What's because they're what, like 6 months apart? What is he born in October?
He's 5 months apart, or he's 5 months now, and he's a year. So what is that? 6, 7?
7 months.
7 months. It's not far.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Dude, that's crazy. I never thought about, those during COVID. I didn't even go to think about all of those adjustments that you guys had to make. And I want to talk about this. There's a quote that Tony says, leaders anticipate. I'm sorry. Yeah. Leaders anticipate, losers react. Right. And I want to go back. You had started to ramp up the trucks, right? Before COVID had even happened.
Right.
You were kind of anticipating without it even naturally occurring.
Yeah.
And you happen to be at that right place at the right time. I say this because there's a lot of us, right, that we know we should be doing something. We know we should, like, you should have been doing it. You did it. There's a lot of people that knew they should and they didn't. And the opportunity came around and they couldn't seize it. They weren't ready for it.
Right.
Right. And I want to talk about this because so many people, this is where I believe you have to be ready when that opportunity comes to seize it. If you are not ready, you're not even going to know the opportunity is there.
Yeah.
And how many people had the opportunity to take advantage of those same routes, and I'll put it to real estate, had the opportunity to take advantage of the same deals, but because they didn't anticipate, because they didn't make the changes that they needed to make early on, they weren't able to be there.
Yeah, I think the way like my business strategy was back then is I wanted to grow. And I was willing to take risk. I was willing to take a risk as far as, purchasing a truck I didn't have a route for that truck, but I'm going to purchase a truck. I'm going to, hire a driver, and I'm going to, try to find work. I'm going to ask other contractors for help,
So good.
So that was kind of my strategy back then. So that's kind of how you can grow with FedEx, is taking chances and having equipment available. So either you're hitting up other contractors for work, you're hitting up the hub, for work. So that's kind of what my strategy was, and like I said, right place, right time type deal.
Right.
But with that being said, there's a lot of contractors that I look back now. Well, now I understand why, but there's a lot of contractors that they find their perfect balance. Like I always like thought in my head, like, damn, dude, like I'm up to 21 trucks within these years. And these contractors have been here for 10, 15, 20 plus years, and they're happy at 5 or 7. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
But now I look back and I know why. They found their balance.
Exactly.
They found their balance because
after you've lost your shit, you realize.
So I'm like, damn. Like, yeah, so like going back to what you said, like I don't want to knock them, because they had the opportunity. Maybe they didn't want to take advantage of the opportunity.
Right.
Maybe they were content with how their operation was, less of a headache.
That's good. I like that.
I get it, dude. Like 100%. If that's the way you want to, run your business, fucking 100% go for it. But at my age and at that time, I wanted to fucking expand as much as I want, like as much as I could.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why I was able to, and now I learned, like, fuck, I don't know if I want to get back at that 21.
Yeah.
Because you hear other contractors 100 plus trucks, 200 plus trucks, like some big.
Yeah.
But
do you want that? Do you really want that?
Do you want that? And they probably have a huge team and staff that's supporting that, which is, their overhead is way up here. So I think, each business with, trucking or anything, you got to find that right balance of what makes sense with your time. Because obviously it's going to bring your business, it's always going to come home with you.
Yeah.
And if you're, spending more time with your business, more drama, it's going to affect your relationship at home. And
spot on,
it's
dude.
like, where's that balance,
Spot
So
on.
now, and it can always change.
Yeah.
So, like, you don't have to, you can change your strategy in business. Like, hey, I want to be aggressive for these next, year or two. And then this next year, I'm going to kind of, tone it back a little bit, and I'm going to work on this side. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's like, man, we started purchasing property in like 2018, and we got it right before everything like blew up. But now, like, we were so busy. I was so busy, like, into my trucking business, growing everything, where all the properties kind of got put on the back burner. So now it's like I'm readjusting my time and my goals, and like, all right, I'm going back to normal where I was with my trucking company, and now I'm going to start, paying attention to, some of the properties that were on the back burners. Now we're going to get them rehabbed and, do whatever to them.
Right.
So
That's so good. I always say, people go, I want to do 100 deals. I go, okay, great to get to 100 deals. I want you to go to 100 deals because you'll realize how fast you don't want 100 deals.
Yeah.
Right? Like Eddie, we talked about this at Yard House with Eddie. Eddie was doing like, what did he get to, 80 flips at the time, 90 flip? He was doing an obscene amount of flips at one time. And that's what he wanted, only to realize that was not what he wanted. Right? Because you get there and you're like, yeah, this is not the life I want. Right?
And sometimes it takes that though.
It does.
Like if you don't if you don't try it, you're not going to experience it at all. You're not going to know. But at least when you get there, now you can make adjustments. Like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to be here again. You know?
And I think it's for everybody. You got to go out and try it so you can figure out what fits right for you, right? Because you don't know until you actually go do it. You don't know until you get the 21 trucks, and then you realize, yeah, I don't want that 21. Matter of fact, let's go 10. I'm still making good money, but I'm home. I don't have a headache. I'm not, the headaches are less, or I'm spending more time with my kids. I'm spending more time with my wife, right? Somewhere, some way, something's being sacrificed.
Right. Now, for something's gonna be well, Yeah. But man, I give props, like the people that do it, man, 100%, man. I'll give you everything, but maybe that will change for me in the next, 5 years, where I'm gonna be, a lot more aggressive than what I was before. But yeah, it's just times you can always make adjustments to it,
100%. But with anything, right, peace of mind, from what I've learned, I don't know if you can agree with this or not, but from what I've learned is peace of mind. I'll choose peace of mind over a paycheck.
Oh man, dude.
Maybe not 10 years ago, right? You told us that when we were 21. You're like, fuck, they give me the paycheck, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now I'm like, fuck that.
And then I think like a big eye opener for me too, and like now because you're a father.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, that relationship you want to have with your family and your kids, like, you don't want to be gone, all the time. And then when you are home, you don't want to be in a shit mood, because this thing happened with your business. But yeah, you got to find that right balance for me. And that's like, I'm still fucking learning on that,
Well, we're going to continue to be learning.
Like I get into, it never ends. Like I want to be ambitious, and, now I'm doing this property stuff, and, stuff pops up with that. And you're just like, God damn, when is this never ending? But I think that's just kind of like the line of work that we're in now. Yeah. Like owning, businesses, and, not working for a 9-to-5 company. Like, this is the challenges that we're going to have to, come and face, but we're going to learn along the ways,
There's challenges one way or another, right?
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
Challenges staying where you're at, and then there's challenges building the business, right? Either way, pick, as I had Taylor and Nate Looney on a couple of weeks ago. You got to meet them. They're super cool. Taylor goes, choose your hard, right? Choose your hard.
I like that.
No matter what, it's going to be hard,
Yeah.
right? You're either going to be broke and it's going to be hard, or you're going to be rich and it's going to be hard, right? And either way, it's going to be fucking hard. So just choose which one, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather it be hard in a Ferrari.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep, I get it.
So what's next, dude? So what's the next big move for you?
Right now, I'm readjusting my business strategy right now. So like, I've always been 100% into FedEx. I'm gonna scale it back a little bit, and I'm gonna be getting into different avenues of trucking.
I love it.
Whether it be with heavy hauling, auto transport, but I'm gonna diversify within transportation with trucking. So doing that, and what I mentioned earlier, spending more time with our properties. So that's always been like a big interest. Being around you, Eddie, Omar, like you guys are awesome. You guys have a lot of experience, and I love picking your guys' brains. So we walked property with Eddie, one of the newest properties that we bought. So it's on 2 acres, and we kind of have like our little niche of properties that we purchased. They're like in truck. They're in truck zones. Big 1 acre plus properties that we do like different things in there. But so Eddie walked our property, and he kind of was selling us on the whole ADU and his side of the business. So
Right. Which one was this, Taylor?
This one's on Cactus. Yeah, it's a Cactus property. So
you guys just had 2 that you put up front. To explain those. So this is and this is big for those of you in real estate. So there's different niches, right? So Derick, his brother, and his dad, they're in a different type of niche where they're not just making money on the rental from the property, from the actual house. You guys are making multiple different, like your dad's property, like there's multiple different revenue streams on that, right? Break down what you can.
Yeah, so the whole trucking industry, everything was kind of like, California is huge, right? So like all that starts from the ports, okay? Everything started getting pushed, like that's a trucking area. Everything started getting pushed east, okay? So Fontana, Bloomington, Rialto, city of Paris now, like everything's getting pushed out over there. And there's a need for, truck yards, right? Truck yards, mechanic shops, parking, whatever. So we started acquiring properties that have a lot of room. acre plus. Some of them are mixed zone, some of them are single family residential,
Right.
that you convert over. But that's kind of what we're like into.
I love it. So you'll make money on the house, and then you'll rent.
Like any shops in the back, charge for parking, stuff
So
like
let's
that.
just say you have
storage.
like 2 shops in the back. You're charging them for rent, and then you have side parking for trucks,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And then storage if they needed to store rigs or.
Yeah, it's all pretty much catered to the trucking industry.
So you have
that
like
we're in.
4 or 5 revenue streams. You could have 4
could,
or 5
yeah.
revenue streams per property that you own.
Yeah, so we got 3 big projects, 3 good like commercial mixed use yards right now that we're finishing up. Like one of them's pretty much done. One of them we just acquired, but we had to deal with the eviction on one of the properties that took over.
Right.
Goddamn, like a year.
Does seller finance do?
That was seller finance.
Seller finance,
So that one's seller finance. The new one we acquired was seller finance, and the very first one was we did that whole burr method with we learned with Thatch.
With Thatch.
So that was cool. I think we purchased that property right after.
Oh yeah, the one that yeah.
That first when was that? That was probably like 17 maybe in Seattle when we went over there.
2017, 2017 going into 18.
Okay. Yeah. So that was Alex and I's first property that we bought. We bought it cash, renovated the house, and then pulled our money out. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So we got those properties now. So now we're we spoke to Eddie and we're kind of trying to figure out like, man, do we want to like go against our model, like our grain, like what we've been doing, or you want to try something new? So it's kind of it's exciting. I'm excited for it for sure. So that's kind of like on the real estate side. I'm like, we're gonna be going a little bit more effort into that.
I love your guys' model because as a traditional real estate agent, as a traditional real estate investor, if you look at the lots you guys buy, your average investor will say no deal. Because they're looking at what they're getting in rents just from the house compared to what they're paying for the actual property.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the parking. They're not looking at the back end, all of the other revenue streams you can make, right?
Yeah.
So keep it to
Yeah,
yourself.
they don't like that market. Like that Taylor property we purchased, I think it was like 280, and the property next door, literally next door, identical property, they sold in the height of the market for like 800 or 850.
Wow.
And now it was a
you guys
trucking.
pay?
What's that?
What do you guys buy it for?
280. So they
That's insane.
that person that bought it was like a trucking company, and they fucking stacked trucks and trailers in there. Like that one's a little under an acre, but goddamn, they have it freaking stacked. Like literally, I don't know how they put trailers in there.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's what companies kind of use to try to find yards like that, to kind of help their own business.
That's awesome, dude. I love that there are so many different ways in real estate that you can make money and so many different niches. But the niche that you guys have, that's
It's different. It's different. We're just kind of
it's a good niche.
keep it with like within our trucking, background.
And it fits. It
actually, helps us out.
Yeah, it parallels to what you're already doing. It's awesome. I love it
for sure.
I absolutely love it. So long term's more units, and then just kind of grow in from there.
Yeah. So my overall goal right now is obviously establish a different business within trucking. Do that, real estate, but long term goals, like I want to own like commercial property, like warehouses, 3PLs. Like I want to. It's going to take some time and some money, but I think it's just, stepping stones and having short and long-term goals. But, I know a couple people that own some warehouse buildings, and I don't think the logistics is going away anytime soon, So I'm going to grow within that little niche right there, and we'll see what happens and kind of, bring both of them together with, trucking and real estate.
I love it, dude.
Yeah, that's
I
it,
love
man.
it. I love it. Logistics X real estate. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Last minute words for anything that comes to mind. Rather that be like inspirational, motivational, something that you've gone through that you want to share to those that are watching you.
Man, dude, I'm not a really inspirational guy though, man.
No, but you've been through some good stuff, bro.
Yeah.
You got something.
I don't know. I guess I like being around, Adrian's buddies. Like they're, especially they're in the real estate market, and these guys they have like a lot of knowledge, you know. So, you know, when I'm around his crew and his friends, like me and my brother, we come from different backgrounds, like trucking, you know, and I feel like we're a little younger than, you know, most of the people that we hang out with, right?
For sure.
And I like how we surrounded ourselves with, you know, different business owners, right? Yeah. So
even with your dad and his crew.
Exactly. So like I love that saying, that quote. What is there? Your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
Okay. So
spot on.
So yeah. So I love like that aspect. So like, I don't know if you're, you know, I'm around Adrian. If you guys have any like trucking questions or anything with like logistics, like go ahead and shoot. Like my Instagram's not really active on my business side. It's more of like a pleasure.
He has some badass trucks and off-road vehicles. He's underplaying it. So how do they find you?
Fucking Derick Pena 20. You don't have to follow me. I have it on private. I have it on private now.
Matter of fact, follow him and send him a message, please.
Nah, but my Instagram is not like business oriented. It's more a play type deal. So
and your family, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, my fam.
Yeah,
my family. Don't forget them.
Yeah. Now, Derick does some dope shit outside of work. Don't get me wrong. So follow him for that.
Yeah. So Alex, you said you're gonna have him on again
next week.
He's gonna get another invite.
Alex coming back next week.
Fuck, dude, that fool fucking canceled you. I wouldn't even have him on here, dude.
I don't think he wanted to do it with you. That's what it was.
You think so? Nah, he's out in Glamis doing wheelies right now.
Is he? Dude. Is he going to Glamis?
Yeah, that's why he's not here.
That's why I knew. I saw President's Day and I knew it.
I told him, dude. I said that's fucked up, dude. And you're fucking canceling on Adrian.
He still hasn't even came to say hi to me. Thanks, Alex.
You know, growing up, I was always considered the mean twin. That's what everyone always fucking said. Bro.
Really?
Dude, all the time.
No way.
I don't know. So, but I think now.
No, you're the nice one.
He takes the cake. He's a little asshole.
I love Alex. Well, dude, this was fun, man. Thank you so much for driving down here.
Yes, sir.
Hauled his whole family down here, dude. I just thank you so much, man. This was an awesome time.
Get some lunch right now.
Appreciate you. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
All right, brother.
You guys, make sure you follow Derick. Thank you all for tuning in to today's Money Time Podcast. We'll catch you on the next episode. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. You guys, I am actually going to pick whoever comments, leaves a great review. I'm going to be picking in the next 30 days a winner, and we're going to be giving you guys something for free. It's super cool. You're not going to want to miss this. So make sure you leave a review. Give me a 5-star. And if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. Guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Let's go.